regards one of the important topic that I would discuss with you today. It's about how could we understand things within their heritage, traditional background, ancestors, and their meaningful and impactful significance. It might be difficult to be understood in terms of application and reactions. Some people would say it is an enjoyable topic, others would say it might be a cake old and out of date. In reality, to sum up something new within contemporary ideas and thoughts, it is marvelous, fabulous, and significant. Things are somehow related to history, that's true, but the origin and the root of that topic might be outside what's called outside the province of history and documentation, within evidence and proofs. These details as premise and an introductory information about what's going to be as the crux of the matter in reality. This topic in particular has issues associated with schedules and programs within modern era that highlighted what's called the necessity of comprehension. How could we comprehend and understand things as they are, or as we see now, or how could they might be in the far future, not near future? This is the pivotal element, pivotal topic, idea. Frankly speaking, I'm not going to illustrate and elucidate history as far as things are concerned. I'm talking now about the folkloristic information, the folkloristic genres. It is nourished and grown up within the 20th century, in particular within the new achievements of one of the influential person in the world. He's an American writer and essay writer who is Alan Dundes. He presented for us a book that is resourceful, important, significant, and meaningful, as the title is the meaning of folklore. He tries and attempts to present his achievements that were represented in his published articles to be collected in a book so that people could benefit from all these details, in particular when we talk about the meaning, the historical or the significance of folklore. When we talk about folklore, most of the writers, most of the critics, most of the researchers, but not limited numbers of them, are related the topic of folklore to history, to traditions, to something that related to our ancestors. I respect all these perspectives, but we need to understand the folklore in terms of what's called the psychoanalytic information, psychoanalytic process, psychoanalytic determination, as Sigmund Freud has presented within all these details of why then do people work? Because there is a kind of what's called nature, not nature. So this is the clue. So Freud tries to present for us ideas that are valuable and wealthy in terms of psychoanalytic principles. He urged us to understand the inside out rather than the outside in. It means we have to rely upon our capabilities and abilities rather than to look at what is existed or what were found before our existence. So he tries to show us what could we do when we listen to something that is outside our knowledge, outside our province, that is not our specialty. We must try, study hard, listen well, analyze. So the idea is, how could we analyze things by relying upon what's called the psychoanalytic elements? They are sometimes related to dreams, sometimes related to motives, sometimes related to the internal analysis of how could we behave as human beings within the three elements of id, ego, and superego: conscious, unconscious, conscious, and unconscious. These are related to desires, appeals, motives, feelings, minds, logic, reasons, etc. Whatsoever these titles are, it might be not related to your topic because you are not specialist in psychology or psychiatric, and that's why the scholar Freud were trying to he was trying to present something that we could listen to, apply, and understand. So when we say inside out, it means a live, prosperity, activity that is completely and oppositely different from the idea of outside in, which is dead, static, and dynamic. So here is the point. How could we try to differentiate between these two elements? Then we move on to get another point that is related to the meaning or the definition of the folklore. It is an art, it is an art, it is an activity, it is a dynamic thing, it is movable ability, movable achievements, movable accomplishments, rather than something that is static, that is not movable, which is represented by the word artifacts. Artifacts, they are valuable things that have been found before, or traditional conventional heritages, something that related to documentations and evidence. It's true, but this is very specific reference. We need to understand another perspectives. Conversely speaking, I would talk about an art rather than artifacts, because I would emphasize about the idea of activity rather than the idea of a static, to be unmovable. This is not the aim of the folklore, as Alan Dundes has mentioned in his book. Giving up with all these backgrounds, we could understand and comprehend things positively rather than negatively. Because to specify something to specific science, this is not logic. It needs to be understood differently. So we have been discussing with you now different points, different elements, different ideas, different perspectives, and the readers, the listeners must understand and take benefit from all these details that I have been mentioned and highlighted within such proof. So the folklore has been raised within the 20th century, that's true, as Box has mentioned, but the point here, how could we understand the meaning of the folklore? Does the folklore try to present for us a mirror from which we could see different pictures, different to depict different elements in life, in culture, and literature, and history, or we must rely upon the history only because it is the only source that is available within documentations, that is represented with dossiers, documents, files, papers, etc. He tries to say, Ellen Dondi's tries to say or depict something that's very important within the 19th century, the challenge between two elements must be understood, that art and artifacts. So this is the reality. The challenge is important, the challenge is necessary to be understood by you as listeners, to me, to my speech. I would present for you these elements with pleasure, and the merits is mine, and the things are agitated with an encourageable and more motivation that make you benefit from. So literature is one of the elements that has been also depicted. He tries to talk about, Ellen Dondi's attempts to present for us something as far as literature and literary works, rhetoric, and these elements that are related to literary achievements must be relied upon the language. He said that the language is what is that we could benefit from within a kind of analysis. So the language that is used within the rules and principles, it's okay, but we need to understand why the language is employed. He means the role and functions of the language is so upmost, the typicality, the idealism within what's called, to avoid primitive language, we need language of what's called in the 19th century, the language of revolutionary, developmental, promotional, empowermental, or the language of misery, sadness, gloominess. This is the idea of the Victorian age. I mean, how could we understand colonialism, primitivism, and revolution, development, promotion, empowerment? So this could be solved and resulted in the type of language that we could use within the branch of folkloristic achievements. Also, we need to see more studies, more researches with outcomes, with impactful results that could agitate and motivate things that could be glorifying, that could be glorifying the importance of language. And this is the fourth point that Ellen Dondi's have been discussing within essays. Thanks.